everybody. I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Welcome to Worldview Finder, episode 31.
Wow.
We did it. I say it every
episode.
So, yeah, just I feel like there's a lot of housekeeping things. They're just crazy stuff. So, we record every 2 weeks sometimes. I don't know. But 2 weeks ago, we made a joke that one day Adrian's going to show back up and have twins.
Yeah.
And you
then
did.
it happened.
It happened.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm actually really surprised that you're here today because I jokingly was like, "Hey, we're recording tomorrow," and you're like, "I'll be there."
This is commitment.
Today is their 1 week old.
They're 1 week old. Yeah,
1 week old.
born on Halloween.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that'll be easy to remember.
Recording
Halloween
Tuesday.
twins.
Halloween twins. Yeah. So, but they're still in NICU. So
They are. They're doing good.
Be home soon. So yeah. So that's why you're able to be here today.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you taking care of your week old?
They're a week old. They're
Yeah.
fine.
They're doing great.
They're walking already.
They're doing stuff. So, but congratulations,
Thank you.
Abel and
Thank you.
Asher. 2.
Yep.
So your family doubled in one day.
That's compound
I
interest,
know,
I
it's
think.
Are you
now
kidding?
as
Wonder
a
of the
family
world.
of 6.
Oh my gosh.
I know, golly.
It's insane.
So, but yeah, congrats. We're glad. We're excited. I'm excited to meet him. Now, have your kids met him yet?
No.
Oh man, so that's
Andy and I get to see them.
okay. So that'll be
You know,
fun.
I haven't met him yet either.
Yeah.
Jimmy hasn't met him. I mean,
First to meet them.
As a
All
co-host
the
of the
things.
podcast, I feel like I should get dibs on my.
yeah.
fell
So
off.
then, Jimmy, you are going on a.
I'm going on a boat.
You're going on a boat.
Yeah, I leave this Sunday. We're going to a 5-day cruise to the pajamas.
The pajamas.
Yeah.
What if it was?
Great.
What if it was a pajama cruise?
Yeah,
They just
pajamas in
stay-
the Bahamas.
They just stay docked. Don't do anything.
Exactly.
So you're gonna be out for a bit.
I will be gone for like 2 weeks.
And Adrian's gonna be on maternity leave, so we're gonna actually take a little break, probably for the rest of November. I don't know,
Maybe the rest of our lives.
and maybe I'll
Say
do
rest
something.
of November. That's like 3 times. I mean, that's like 2 weeks.
It's 2 days from now.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. I don't know, but we're gonna take a little break. But when we had this podcast before, we both had kids in October, and then we took a break.
Oh, no.
5 years.
Never came back.
So,
5 years later.
Probably
Yeah,
won't be 5
so-
years, but maybe.
and I may do some stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Stay tuned.
It'll be awful, but it won't be high production. That's for sure.
It's just Chris
I
here
know
by
that.
himself.
Yeah, with my phone.
Perfect.
Okay. So yeah, so just wanted to let you guys know we'll probably be off for a few weeks, but I don't want to stop momentum because like the last couple episodes we've actually got quite a few views on YouTube and stuff.
That's true.
Nice.
Our
Okay.
John Chris episode over 100. So.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The algorithm kind of took it, and then although the average view duration, I think people stopped watching after like the 30-second mark.
Yeah, but we don't tell people that part,
Okay,
Jimmy.
sorry. I don't want to be transparent.
They're like, these guys aren't professionals.
But we do have some dedicated followers that do watch all the way through, and they enjoy our episodes. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
but thanks.
for listening.
I think if you're new, welcome, and we're off. I can't believe it. But so this, we talk about worldview and things that are going on in pop culture and all that stuff. So I watched. It was on Max. So you don't have Max, sorry, but Peter and the Wolf. So
Never heard of it.
Classic. What?
Classic.
Jimmy.
Sorry.
Never hear of anything.
Wasn't born in 1985.
I wasn't
1936.
either.
1936? That
Is-
was the Great Depression. Get out of here.
that was the original.
The original Great Depression.
Peter.
Yes.
Original Peter and the
Now
Wolf.
we're in the Greater
So-
Depression.
Peter and the Wolf, written by a Russian composer, and it was like a symphonic fairy tale, and so.
Symphonic
There were
fairy
different
tale.
themes for each character and different things. But did you really like Peter the Wolf growing up? Because
I did,
She
yeah.
loved it.
Because I remember listening to it quite a bit.
There was
Me
a
too.
Disney version,
Yeah.
and it had a cartoon, but we also had the book on tape.
Yes.
So we
On
would
tape.
listen to it on tape,
Whatever that is.
and then I could follow along in the book. But I remember being super scared of that wolf.
In the Disney cartoon?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was singing the theme of
We're
Peter.
getting copyrighted.
Peter's theme. I'm not on key. All right, so, but yeah, so this version was done by I think Ireland Hospice Service.
Oh.
Like it was like in conjunction with them, and so Bono is part of it. So I think he like drew some sketches for it or something. So they based the animation kind of on his sketches and kind of the
Interesting.
theme. And so
He could draw.
but it is really cool, the animation, like super interesting. So because it starts off with Bono like painting on a glass thing. It just looks like he's like painting in the air, and then it transitions to like this boy in the car and all that stuff. But this one deals with
It looks like modern. It like takes
Yeah,
place in modern time.
yeah,
Because any cartoon or remake I've seen, it's like olden days Russia.
old Russia.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like completely modern, but I mean,
Like there's cars and stuff.
yeah, more modern than the old 1936 version when they
Yeah.
Back when
they're
the
riding
Model T
horses.
came out.
So, but some of the themes in this, it really deals with loss, like fear and death, quite a bit.
Is
And
this
so
for children?
it is, yeah. Our kids watch it, but I'd say the themes are more subtle.
Okay, just subtle death.
Subtle death. Well, so because like at the beginning, so the kid gets into his house and he's sad, and it kind of like pans over some pictures, and you kind of see him with his mom, but then you see her with like a rag on her head, like a not a rag, what bandana. So
Do-rag.
like to represent
She has cancer.
that she had cancer. Yeah, and he lives with his grandpa, and so it's just kind of. But he draws the wolf, and the wolf he draws like with X's on its eyes, and he kind of draws it a little bit scary. But it kind of represents, I think, to him like this fear of dying or fear of the unknown and that kind of thing. And so he goes out and draws the wolf on a tree, and he's like trying to attack it, and he's not very good. So he makes a slingshot, and then his grandpa comes down and is like, you can't do this and all this. But it's all like, it's narrated. I thought it was Bono narrating. It's not Bono, but it's like this little fly, and it's great. But the animation, why it's so cool is because a lot of it is just like real scenes of stuff. And so it'd be like trees and the grass that looks like fur, or like it's just they make it look really cool, but then they animate the characters over top of those things. And so there's like a duck that will like jump in the water, but the water splashes, but I don't know if it's stop motion or what they do to make it. It's just really like visually really
That's cool.
interesting, and it's all black and white and then red.
Oh,
And so
Schindler's List.
Schindler's
neo-traditional.
But yeah, so it starts off with wolves take many different forms, and so it's just kind of talking about like I think our fears and all that stuff. Can I spoil it? I don't know
Spoiler alert.
if I should spoil it or not, but
We'll bleep it out.
Well, how can we watch it if we want to watch it?
Oh, yeah.
it's on Max.
On Max.
On Max. Okay.
So if you don't have Max,
Is this, how long is this, you said?
it's about 30 minutes. It's maybe like 25, 26.
Okay, so it's not long.
It's not very long.
Okay.
Yeah, so I won't spoil too much of it. It's different than the original. There's like a little bit of a twist. But it's very interesting because when the wolf first shows up, it's the drawing of like how he did. Like you see the wolf, but you see his interpretation of the wolf over top of it. So it's like this kind of realistic cartoon wolf, but then over that, like a very crude cartoon drawing on top of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like the way he views his fear and his death, and he's trying to face his fears and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, but then some stuff starts to unfold that he's like, oh, maybe this isn't what I thought at the beginning or what I've been told. And so
if you think it was done by hospice, do you think there's a message there for
for sure. Yeah.
people who are kind of at the end of their life?
Yes. That it's not like the death isn't. This is where it ties into Christian worldview is because, death, where's your victory? Where's your sting? Like there's not, it's almost like death is just kind of this next.
Death is just a doorway.
Ooh.
The
Put that on a
resurrection
t-shirt.
life.
Oh wait, what was the death is?
It's a song. It's a worship song.
Okay, well, I was thinking of there's a Shakespeare quote about, or every entrance is an exit elsewhere. Every exit is an entrance elsewhere. So Shakespeare, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Your favorite. So
Jimmy's never heard of him.
Shakespeare. Who's that guy? But yeah, so I think the themes of like your loved ones are still going to be around. Like you're still find their memories, and there's still things like it's not just they're gone and that's it, but you still have ways of seeing them and like remembering them and things like that. And so yeah, it was really good. Like my kids liked it. It was fun for them. But then as I like dug into it more, I was like, oh, there's a lot of like cool themes here. About death and about fear and about facing those things, but also like maybe it's not as scary as we thought. That's what I was like, death's not as scary once you get to know it better. I was like, I don't know about
Once you really spend some time around it.
But like from a follower of Jesus perspective, that's like, okay, once I know that God has all this under control, then I can kind of face it without fear.
Being afraid.
It's funny. Yeah. So my mom, she's very Christian and
very Christian.
Very Christian. Well, I say that because talking about not being afraid of death and everything. So like there'd be times where we'd be like at the house when we were younger, and like there'd be like a tornado warning, or we're talking about like possibility of like dying in a car crash or something, and the term she always used, she said, we couldn't get that lucky. Like where we would die. So death is something that she very much embraces, and she said, oh well, it's better to be in heaven, all that kind of thing. But that's the phrase she uses, we couldn't get that lucky.
We couldn't get, what does that mean?
So like if we did die in the tornado or die in a car crash.
She was saying that like it'd be lucky if the tornano hit their house.
We couldn't get that lucky.
Great.
Wow.
So yeah, she said,
that sounds very Christian.
Thanks, Bob.
Exactly.
I mean, Paul says to live as Christ and
Exactly.
die as gain. He's like, I'm ready to die, but if I go,
we couldn't get that lucky.
We couldn't get that like that shipwreck. Man,
we couldn't get that lucky.
Couldn't get that lucky. So, but as I was thinking about this, what's it like an irrational fear or that you did have, or maybe you do have?
Oh,
so irrational fear is something that is not going to happen, right? It's like.
Yeah.
Or highly unlikely.
Not rational.
So mine comes from it was before the Nate Bargatze joke. And like when he told that joke, I was like, that's
me too.
The time travel. I was like, I'm going to time travel and not know how to like get back or know anything. Like,
wait, you're afraid that you're going to time travel?
And then not know how to get back.
Not know how to get back. But like, even then, because I'm like, I could make lots of money and stuff. But I'm like, I don't know enough about like, should I invest in Enron? Like, I don't know what to like invest in, or like who won the World Series this year. Like, I don't know.
You go back and invest in Peter Rabbit back in 1936.
Yeah, but yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't even make it very well. So then Nate Bargatze had a joke that was like spot on. I was like, die.
I didn't know that was a thing. Are you looking into time traveling now? You're just like,
no, not anymore.
You'll not after I thought about it. I'm like, I don't think I would have made that much of a difference. I don't really know that much.
And if time travel's like actually invented, it's like you alone are gonna
just
go.
Chris.
Just Chris gets to use.
But you're gonna be able to time travel, but not be able to do anything useful.
I'm talking about like I might go into a wormhole on accident.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. Like
driving down the street.
Accidentally time travel.
Yeah. You swerve to miss the pothole.
You guys know.
You swerve to miss the pothole and go into the wormhole.
I go into the pothole and it's a wormhole.
Oh, nice.
Another one.
That's a little irrational.
The basement at our old youth building. It was called Jeremiah's, and I would like at night I'd have to shut everything down in the basement and then go up the stairs. But every time I went up those stairs, I felt like somebody was following me because I could hear like I would walk up the stairs and it would sound like somebody was walking behind me up the stairs. And I would like run up the stairs. Eventually, I just started walking up the stairs backwards. I was like, somebody's gonna.
That happens funny. In our basement too. It's just like I'm convinced once I turn the lights off in the basement and go up the stairs, like that all these creatures are coming out. Something.
But it would sound like somebody was on the stairs behind me, like every time, and I'm like.
Hey, but if you look, then that
I'll get like that hot flash, right? Like just
your face gets so hot.
Yeah, so
my goodness,
I knew it wasn't real, but I'm like every time.
Mine was dinosaurs.
Oh yeah,
if you refer back to the episode where we talked about why I have an irrational fear of dinosaurs.
Thanks, parents.
Yeah, thanks, Dad specifically.
I don't remember what episode that was.
Yeah, well, we can reference it in the show notes or whatever. To go hear that story. It's so important. I don't know now. I need the time to think about it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you have a...
Okay, because I touched on this on the other episode too, the irrational fear of, you guys told me this was a thing too, where you're not supposed to like take a shower when it's storming because you'll get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this is kind of irrational statistically speaking, is like when it's lightning outside, I just don't want to be out there because I'm convinced that I will get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just being
I think
smart.
That's a normal fear.
Maybe it's very rational. I don't have any irrational fears, just rational.
Like getting struck by lightning would be it's a good
fear. Sharks in the swimming pool, that one?
Oh, yeah.
Like down in the drain.
Chris, that you get blamed for.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, all right, Adrian, you've been playing Super Mario Wonder.
Mario Wonder.
It looks exciting. I've seen some.
Me, Mario.
So, it's called Super Mario Wonder because it's very much reminiscent of like the old Super Mario game where you what's that called? It's like 2D or
side scrolling. Yeah.
Side
2D.
scrolling.
Yeah.
Platformer.
Yeah, but this story, I think the storyline's fun. It's just you're in the Flower Kingdom.
Yeah, which is new. You're always in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh, I didn't pick up on
Flower
that.
Kingdom.
Travel over to the Flower Kingdom, and the king of the Flower Kingdom like travels with you.
All right.
He's the one that gives you 5-ups when you lose all your
5
when
ups?
you get game over.
Oh yeah, you get 5 more.
Yeah. So we've been playing 3-player mode because my 6-year-old he's the one that actually got the game for his birthday.
Ooh.
So I will say it's frustrating. Don't play it as 3-player.
Just break your family apart.
Yeah, but
I've heard
2-player's fun though.
I've heard it's not as bad as the other, like the new Super Mario Brothers.
Oh really? Why?
I don't know. As far as like they fix some
comparison.
of the bubble stuff or whatever.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's lots of bubbling still on our
Yeah.
our end. By bubbling, we mean like if you get too far behind, you turn into a bubble, or if like everyone else is jumping up and there's like wall jumps.
Oh.
And you just
and you
float
get
up.
left behind. Yeah, because my son can't. He can't wall jump to save his life.
Oh no.
Oh man.
So,
Come on.
yeah. So we jump up and then he turns into a bubble and all that. But the fun thing is like you could play it almost endlessly because there will be like little blocks that'll have the icon or logo of a player. So you might have to go back and play it as Peach or like if you want to get that block.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
And then my son again, he like fell down of like, you know, he just like dropped and you just like where you die because you have to jump over it like a pit or whatever. But he accidentally discovered like a secret.
Oh.
So now every single time,
just in case.
just in case,
he jumps in.
he was so proud of himself. So now he just goes, I'm going to sacrifice myself. And he falls in. He says that every time. And I'm like, bud, you're losing. Like every level, we get down to 0 lives. So if someone dies, then it's like game over.
Oh my goodness. He's just jumping in the
He's
hole.
just jumping in every
Sacrificing himself. He's
No,
doing
that's what
the
he
honorable
says. He's
thing.
like, here I go. I'm going to sacrifice myself.
No.
Take one for the team here.
And we're like, how do you think we get that? And he goes, just sacrifice yourself. And he tried like,
Oh my goodness.
it's really
That's the answer.
hilarious, but also super annoying.
Yeah, playing video games with children, some of the most maddening moments of
really
my life.
is.
Because we played Super Mario Party, and it was you were on a raft together, and you have to row the raft.
Oh, no.
And there's 4 of us trying to row this raft, and I am yelling, battle on yours.
The family bonding
I'm like,
experience.
wait, this is a video game. It's supposed to be fun, and I'm like screaming at my children. I know. So some of those things I'm like,
It's terrible.
because I want that for Christmas. I'm like, oh, me and my three kids that are video game playing age could play it. I was like
all 4 of you could just.
maybe I will punch them. So, but the wonder part of it is like you get like a wonder flower, right, on each stage.
Oh,
It
yeah.
transforms the level.
Yes, it does.
Have you not gotten any of those?
No, we
You
have.
didn't sacrifice yourself to get that.
Yeah. No, and those
Game
have
was
been
about Mario Sacrifice.
those have been really cool, and it's kind of chaotic. Yeah, you get this wonder flower, and then it turns into almost like a night world version of the game. But they're getting more and more clever each time. Like sometimes the world like has bubbles, and so you have to like ride on the bubbles or just figure out what to do. But like even last night, I guess the stuff that comes down or like the stuff that you have to jump on is all like black. But then when we turned into the wonder level, we ended up like it almost like turned sideways, the game.
Oh, yeah.
We like played it from a different perspective.
Oh, like top down?
Or is it from the side?
Top
Oh,
down,
it's
like
top down.
almost like Link, all those old
Gauntlet. Yeah,
like old.
Interesting.
Games. Yeah, so.
And I've heard that every level has one or two Wonder Flowers, right, per level.
Yeah.
And they're all
Wonder
different.
Seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all different. Yeah, it's a Wonder Seed, and then at the end you get like
Chris, get it right.
Wonder Flower that helps defeat Bowser.
Oh man,
I have seen that the game looks very creative. So we played like the Super Mario Bros. U, I think it was for the Switch, and that was very much more kind of your classic Mario.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's a bunch of new characters that you can play as, and with the Wonder Flowers or Wonder Seeds, yeah, it does look like there's a whole lot of different mechanics that weren't in your typical Mario.
Yeah.
So it looks like there'd be a lot of replayability.
You also get these every once in a while. You can find badges that give you
badges.
Yeah, and then you
don't need no badges. Okay.
But the most frustrating thing is like not knowing which one you're gonna. At the beginning of each level, you pick.
Oh yeah.
Which one you use, and it gives you like a special ability.
Yeah.
Oh.
So one you can like fly with your hats
and
get over longer distances. One is a wall jump, but instead of jumping like back and forth, you just jump straight up.
Oh, okay.
So we played this whole level, got to the Wonder Seed area, and it was like you had to have that badge open because you had to like jump up the wall only on one side to hit the Wonder Seed. So we had to start the level over with that badge just to get back.
I thought you could change badges mid-level.
No, you have to do it at the beginning.
Yeah. You have
Okay. Well,
jeez, Chris, what do you think this is?
I haven't played it.
But
yelling at me, guys.
But if you hit like the halfway, the halfway flag.
Yeah.
So of course Amos's idea was like, let's all sacrifice ourselves. And so then we can start the level over.
That makes sense.
We ended up doing that though. I was like, oh, good idea.
Jumping in a hole for 15 minutes to start the level.
Amos is going to be super servant hearted. Like when he's,
I'll sacrifice
I'll
myself
just be like,
here.
okay, I volunteer as tribute.
I respect it.
Sacrifice yourself.
Or you jump it in manhole covers. I don't know.
That's true. Fall in a wormhole.
So is there a worldview at all to this game, or is it just typical Mario? Why is Bowser in the Flower Kingdom?
Because he wants to steal all the flower seeds.
We need a new villain. Okay.
Well, baby Bowser too.
Bowser Jr.
Like anytime Amos can play Bowser, he does. So anytime Bowser Jr. or baby Bowser comes on the screen, he's like, my son. It's like, my son is back.
Oh my goodness. Love it.
Funny to play with.
So but is there
I mean, it's just the typical greediness of Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's not really.
You have to kill the bad guys.
Yep.
But the sense of wonder of like enjoying life to the full. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of course. As you're screaming at your children.
Yeah. I'm discovering, definitely different sides of all of us.
No more sacrifices.
That's enough. We have one life left.
Speaking of sacrifices, it's time for Florida Foibles.
Oh my goodness.
Glad we have the soundboard.
I am too. Just for that. So guys at the thrift store. He's an anthropologist. This is important to the story.
Study of ants.
Study of anthros. And he finds in the Halloween section a skull that was very realistic. Turns out it was a human skull.
Hey.
And he's like, this is a real skull. And
it was.
The store owner was like, I was in a storage bin for a couple of years. He bought some storage bins or whatever, and it was just in there, and he thought it was just a decor. And so
I like the skeleton here, and it's wearing clothes though. I don't know. Very realistic, and it smells
terrible.
Yeah, so he just had a human
that homeless guy
skull. And so then the Lee County Sheriff's Office, here was their Facebook post. In a twist of not so humorous, HUMERUS, like
this is not a joke.
It's a boat. Yeah, it is.
I know.
The skeleton.
I know, but it's like not so humorous. I was like, that could be somebody's grandma. So, but it says deputy said the case is not suspicious in nature. I'm like, what?
It's a little sus.
What?
Somebody bought like containers and they found a skull in it, and it's been on a Halloween shelf.
It's been put,
and it's not suspicious.
Not suspicious.
Yeah, that's when you're like, this is very suspicious.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on. So, what's the weirdest thing you've ever bought at a thrift store? I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I don't think if it was weirdest, I wouldn't have bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. There you go.
Would you have bought it?
No, but I go into
It was like $2.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm gonna get that skull.
Hey,
No.
flip it.
Flip it. All right. Well, we have a few moments left. Jimmy,
just a few moments.
You read a fictional book.
This was my first fictional book in a long time, probably since like elementary school. And this, so I didn't read it. I listened to it.
Okay, well, it still counts.
It still counts, even though my wife doesn't think so. So this one was actually a long book. So I looked up how many physical pages it is, and it's like 670.
Whoa.
Which is like longer than Harry Potter, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
What's Harry Potter?
Yeah, it's like
one of the longest ones. Yeah, because the Audible audiobook was 24 hours.
Wow.
Okay.
So this was the thing. So I was reading this fictional book, and I realized the thing with fictional books, at least this one, is there is actually some worldview stuff in here.
Yeah.
So
that's what fictional books are.
It's funny. It's like a story with worldview and ideas.
So what's it called?
Okay, so this one is called The Final Empire. It's by a author named Brandon Sanderson. And
that's right. You talked about this before.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned
you hadn't gotten
correct. Yeah. So I had started listening to it because I didn't know where to start as far as fiction books.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, probably there. So I got that.
Where to start in the book?
Okay, I got the recommendation, so I started listening to it, and now I won't go full like when Willow was explaining Dune, where I'll
Please don't
give you what all the characters are named and
like
all this.
You can talk.
Yes, although at the very beginning of the book, when they're kind of building the world, I did feel like that. I'm like, I'm never going to remember any of this.
Yeah.
All these weird names. But basically, so you kind of have this sci-fi civilization, and you have all of these slaves that are working the fields and stuff, and then you have kind of the nobility that runs everything. And the guy who runs everything, they call him the Lord Ruler.
Ooh.
The Lord Ruler. So apparently he's kind of like this godlike figure. But like the lives for the slaves and everything, it's like super terrible and everything like that. But this Lord Ruler guy has been around for, I think, like thousands of years. So they think he's immortal. They think he can't be killed because I think he's like, a lot of people have tried. So these people have been in slavery for thousands of years.
Do people live that long, or just him?
Just him.
Okay.
Yeah. So this kind of people, they're called the Ska. Oh. That's the only one I'll throw at you.
I like Ska.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Ska. So the Ska, they've been enslaved for 1,000 years or more, and then kind of the book is they are wanting to. There's a group of people that are wanting to overthrow the Lord Ruler. And so there's a lot of different worldviews in this, but I have some notes. Just want to touch on just a couple here. So the one thing that, because we had talked about this when thinking about God, and we just went through the book Core Facts for our last series, talking about different reasons why you can believe in Christianity. And this was kind of like the moral argument. So the Lord Ruler, he's doing all these terrible things, making life terrible for everyone, but he is seen as this God figure. So in the book, it was talking about, and they even view him kind of as like the creator of everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they were talking about, well, if he really is, then he should be the basis for ethics, like what's right and wrong. So they were saying, even though he's doing these terrible things, are we evil if we oppose him? So I thought that was interesting. And then he said, because he's this God figure, even though we see him doing all these terrible things, are they actually right because of that? Just because he is doing them. Is because if God's doing it, then is it all right? Ooh. So I thought that was interesting. And so we can kind of touch on that in just a second. But the other one was, as they're kind of trying to overthrow the Lord Ruler, they find this journal of kind of before he became the Lord Ruler. Apparently he had a life before that, and in this journal it was kind of documenting his daily life, just a journal. And when they found it, they were kind of questioning the reliability of it to see if is this really real. And in the journal, he was sharing kind of his struggles, kind of the things that he was thinking internally. So it was very, I think the people in the book says he seems kind of whiny. So like he was like all these things. And there was one line that said, so they had found this like in the ministry place, and they said if the ministry made it up, it would have shown its God as more divine. So when we were talking about, again, in the
that's interesting.
Going through the core facts thing is in the Gospels and everything like that, you would think with Jesus being the head guy and being the leader, one, him being crucified, like that was super shameful. Like, and just showing all of the shortcomings of the disciples and everything like that. Like, they weren't painting themselves in a very positive light all the time.
Right, even the ones that wrote their own gospel.
Yes, exactly. So kind of going to the same thing there, where you would think if you made this up, you would not have left all those imperfections in there. You would have made it look like you had your stuff together. So with that point, it kind of reaffirmed that, oh yeah, in the Gospels, it kind of is the same thing.
Right.
And then also going back to the morality thing, I think that was an interesting thing that they brought up. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I think he might even be playing off of what people think of the God of the Old Testament.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have issues with that because there's so much death.
That's true.
And destruction caused by God. But
watch Peter and the Wolf. Death's not that bad.
Once you get to know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like God allowing these things to happen. So it's probably I would say the author is playing off of that.
Do you know his, is he a Christian?
I do not. Okay. So, yeah, I was kind of looking for different things like that. So I didn't think so. It didn't seem like there was a lot of Christian values or anything in the book.
Brandon Sanderson. So, I think going off what you said with the Old Testament stuff, because there's a lot of hey, go wipe out this whole people group, including women and children. You're like, wait, they're supposed to be the first ones in the lifeboat. Why are you killing?
They're first ones in the death boat.
All these things.
And innocent children,
Yeah.
Think of children as innocent.
So what do we do with that?
Well, but so what you said about, okay, but maybe because he's doing it, it's good, and he has a perspective we don't.
Yeah, and people have that. I mean, that's what people say.
Yeah, because there's a war going on right now that people are like, well, this has been going on thousands of years.
Yeah.
And this was a people group that was like, and I don't know. I don't want to get into the political stuff too much. But yeah, but it was that kind of idea of this was something that had they obeyed. It's tough because you're like, oh, but in the Old Testament, whenever there's a chance that this whole people group's going to be wiped out or whatever, you also see these moments of grace and mercy from God in those things. Like Jericho, all the people in Jericho were afraid of the God of the Israelites.
Yeah.
So was Rahab, but she took a stance of I'm going to help these people and actually hey, save me when this goes down. And they're like, okay. And she's part of Jesus's lineage. And so Jonah, going to the Ninevites, God sent him to help them to see hey, what they were doing was wrong. And they weren't God's chosen people or anything like that. And so you see those moments of people repenting and turning to God, and they actually get forgiveness and things like that. And so I think anytime there's those go wipe everybody out, there's also a moment for those people to actually repent and turn to the Lord and give up their ways, but often they don't.
Well, and I think it's God, because we believe he's supremely good, but he's also supremely just, where to some degree you have to serve justice to the evil things in the world, or you wouldn't be good. And so I was in Braxton's class, the guy who was teaching through the Core Facts book, and he was, because this kind of came up, the dilemma of, well, if God did bad things, would it be good just because it was God doing it? Mm-hmm. And kind of the Christian answer to that would be, God as a being is the ultimate good, and out of that flows only good. So in the sense, God is incapable of doing immoral things. Therefore, the things that he's doing are going to be out of his goodness and his justice. So he's not going to be this kind of tyrannical, oppressing people and things like that. Because the Lord ruler in this book, he was and there was actually a twist at the end, which I won't give away. But you can kind of see why, because the Lord ruler used to be a man and then now is doing these terrible things. So he is not the perfect being that obviously he has the ability to do bad. And so the Christian answer would be, well, God only does good things. It flows out of his being is this goodness and this love, but then also justice. So, but I mean, in looking at all the terrible things that happen either in the world now or in the Old Testament, sometimes that is a hard question to kind of wrestle with.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times it forgets that there is the evil side of the devil trying to wreck those things.
It's true.
And then we're like, oh, God causes bad things. Like, no, yeah, God causes good things.
Yeah.
And the father of lies, Satan, tries to twist those things and make it into something that
that it's God's fault or whatever, but it's really his fault, and we just shift the blame.
Well, and we have a sin nature too, so that's the reason why the world has fallen. Because there are so many bad things, a lot of it comes from human sin. So we kind of bring bad into the world, and then we're like, oh, well, God, how could you allow me to do this terrible thing? It's like, well, you have free will.
Yeah, and then it goes back to our episode that we talked about suffering. I think it's all that same question. It's like, why does God allow suffering if he's good? And
oh, yeah. Check that episode.
Check that episode out.
That was a big episode.
And the other 30 that we have. Hey, because if you said if they're new here, we have 30 other episodes that they can go watch.
Yeah.
Get caught up and join us when we come back.
I know, because we're going to be on a break.
Yep. And I've got to take Adrian home because
you don't
can't
have
drive.
To.
What?
Andy's coming.
She can walk. Oh. She just had babies.
He's coming here. She can walk.
So yeah,
got a scooter out back. So, yeah. Well, hey, happy Thanksgiving because we won't.
Merry Christmas if we're still not back.
We got to talk about
Christmas
movies, man.
stuff.
We got to talk about Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Christmas books.
Check out Adrian was talking about the new Thanksgiving movie she's excited about. Thanksgiving in Murder Town.
Movie.
Horror movie.
Oh man! All right. Well, hey, I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.